or life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Police say his mother, Deirdre, was on the phone with her mother early Friday when he attacked her.
A life sentence is the worst punishment you can receive as a human being, as you will be forced to live the rest of your life in confined walls, and people don't react well when the judges take the rest of their lives away.
Actually, I really didn't. I really think I did that. I didn't mean to hurt him.
Today we're counting 10 convicts reacting to life sentences. This first video shows two women collapsing to the ground after reacting to their life sentences, even though they are 100% deserved of what was coming to them. These two women were convicted for the death of a 3-year-old girl. They were guilty of beating the toddler to the point of death. So if that isn't worth a life sentence, I'm not sure what is.
The State Department of Corrections for a period of life. You will get credit for any of the time that you've served. That will be
This team was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for beating an elderly woman to death after burglarizing her house. He has also been accused before of sexually assaulting his sister and many other people, but instead of acting all emotional, he acts extremely calmly to this punishment. Probably a little bit too comfortably, as he is seen actually falling asleep, not once, but twice during this sentencing.
With a chuckle, a laugh, and yawn after yawn, David Moses acted strangely at his sentencing this morning, appearing to fall asleep in his chair not once, but twice, suffered physical, verbal, and emotional abuse growing up, leading to a lengthy criminal history, including sexually assaulting his sister, then a developmentally disabled cousin, and 7 other children while he was in a group home. While Sessions' family said they hope to one day see her again in heaven.
This next defendant lashes out after he has been accused of torturing and murdering a 4-year-old, with accusations of putting the child in an ice-cold bath with freezing cold water and beating the toddler before brutally murdering the young child. The defendant then tries to fight his restraints in a stupid attempt to actually attack the judge for mentioning all of these accusations, but the guards hold him back, obviously.
The bruises, some of the bruises were in the shape of a belt buckle.
Man, I ain't gonna let you, I ain't gonna let you sit here and say no crazy shit about me, man. No, man, because he's saying shit he don't even know, man.
Sir, the testimony showed that you put this child and other child in a shower with ice cold water. Anybody says anything back there, right?
This next defendant set up a meet online in a dating app which led to a robbery and the unfortunate death of the victim involved. It's obvious this girl was way in over her head, but the law is the law and she will have to serve the time for this crime that ended in a young man's death. Her reaction shows the girl calling for her mother, and her mother literally breaking down in tears after her daughter is ultimately convicted and given a life sentence.
In state prison.
Meet Jaleel Hoskins, the man that killed a mother of 5 and disposed of her body in a trash can. When Jaleel's sentence was announced, he throws the podium to the floor and has to be muscled out of the room in a chokehold position. His mother can also be heard saying she loves her son despite the disgusting crime that he has actually committed and is guilty of. This next defendant killed a man in an attempted robbery. The single bullet that killed the 43-year-old family man also cost Jekyll his life. He says in the video that he is ready for his punishment and apologizes to the mother for breaking her heart and is ready to serve the punishment that he deserves.
I want to take the time off to apologize to the family and say I'm sorry for what I did, I know it was wrong. Now I'm ready to take my punishment for what I did. I want to apologize to my mom and say I'm sorry for what I did, really better than that. I'm sorry for breaking your heart.
This millionaire defendant, Michael Marin, dies after his guilty verdict. When the judge hands him his life sentence, he appears to cover his face and swallow something. Moments afterwards, he dies on the courtroom floor. The autopsy later shows that Michael poisoned himself, as he would rather die than serve a life sentence in prison.
These were the final minutes of Michael Marin's story and life. How he got here is a tragic and bizarre tale. But before we tell this story, remember this moment. After being found guilty of arson and now facing up to 21 years in prison, Marin covers his face and appears to swallow something. Swallow again. About 8 minutes later, Marin starts convulsing and collapses. Even though it's not been officially determined what killed Michael Marin, it's believed Marin swallowed some type of poison.
This teenager, known as Austin Shymaker, murdered his girlfriend's little boy after brutally beating him. In the court, he starts crying and controversially starts apologizing and say that he didn't mean to hurt the young boy. A lot of people believe he did this to try and shorten his sentence, which didn't work, as he is now serving a life sentence behind bars.
I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot. I didn't mean to kill Austin. Actually, I really didn't. I really think I did that. I didn't mean to hurt him. I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot.
Austin Smith was completely defenseless. That's a given. But there were other dynamics at work there, including my client's inability to either control his anger or frustration and his inexperience in babysitting.
Based on his short life now, what is to say he won't do this again?
Well, we don't know that. I think it's completely unlikely. It was a situational, circumstantial thing.
I am a 16-year-old blonde. Probably all I have to do is cry in front of the jury, and they're going to feel sorry for me, end quote.
Afterwards, Shoemaker was sentenced to 25 years to life behind bars.
TJ Lane might be familiar to you, but if he's not, let me fill you in like one of those kids' colouring books. He was sentenced to life in prison while wearing a white t-shirt with the simple word killer on it, which shows a complete lack of remorse and shows that he is, if anything, proud of the murders that he's actually committed, which were of 3 high school students. One of their mothers is actually saying how terrible TJ Lane is, all the while TJ Lane is just sitting there smiling away.
Nick is a very kind and loving. Why would you want to hurt him? You don't know kind. You're evil. I will have to eventually forgive you. Otherwise, you will haunt me. You will never, ever be in my thoughts after this. Never. My family will move on, not you. You have ruined your life, not to mention Adam's. He even gave you a ride. Nick even gave you a ride from school. He was thinking about inviting you back to that table because he felt sorry for you. I feel sorry for you.
This California teen was sentenced before freaking out and begging not to go to prison. His family are also emotional, and it is clear that the teenager regrets the crimes he's committed, as he literally starts to break down in the courtroom.
No surprise, but what else happened in the courtroom certainly was. Scared of returning to jail, 18-year-old Fernando Salgado begs to get to go home. Is this the same young man who is sobbing today, the same student who authorities say sodomized another teen with a piece of metal rebar?
Thanks for watching, guys. I think I'm just going to stick to this style of video. If you enjoyed, leave a like and check out my other channel for more comedic type of videos. Goodbye.